Are you schizophrenic? Voices of the Void is a neat little game about living in the woods that can currently be played for the price of free, no account even necessary. While that is because it's in early access, this game is already fairly feature complete, and I guarantee you will have plenty of experiences from the current version. If you end up liking this game, it has a lot to offer. I would describe it as a blend of three genres, having the best of each without any of the tedious baggage associated with them. These genres being the job simulator, survival crafting, and horror. Job simulators tend to be really boring and, beyond the extremely niche subject of the game, tend to lack a lot of depth. Voices of the Void overcomes both of these problems in creative and interesting ways. The survival crafting genre tends to lend itself to repetitive gameplay, grinding, and annoying maintenance mechanics. Voices of the Void is simple. If you want to stay alive, you need to eat. To eat, you need to make money. Hunger exists as a reminder to keep doing your job. The other meter is sleep, which exists to help meter out the day, but also present an obstacle when you're tired but something needs your attention. There is no thirst meter because it would be redundant and not serve an additive purpose to the overall experience. There's crafting, but all driven with the aim of enhancing other aspects of gameplay, not being the reason that you play the game. Of these three genres, horror games are by far what I play the least. I don't care for games that are trying to purposefully make me feel bad or engage in cheap tricks to scare me. Voices of the Void does neither. It has like one jump scare in the entire game, and it's the sleep demon. Guess what causes him to show up? It's not random, he simply shows up to punish you for not sleeping. I spent my first night face down in a pile of someone else's trash because I didn't really think there was going to be a punishment for not sleeping. From then on, getting tired was an unnerving experience because I really did not want to get jump scared again. What's that? A jump scare that isn't just punishing me for doing the one single thing I'm allowed to do in that moment? My second day was even more interesting to add to this experience because alarms started blaring and I had no idea why until the sun came up and started taking chunks of flesh off of me. This is a rare event that can be triggered by playing on a specific day of the month, and guess what day I started playing this game on? It was then that I knew Voices of the Void was for me. It was my hole. It was made for me. Funny story, I actually accidentally recorded this game. Yeah, I was gonna play it without recording, just kind of for my own entertainment, but I accidentally left OBS on and recorded the first couple days, and that's when I knew that I kind of wanted to do something with this game. Telling you some of the stuff that can happen in this game doesn't even scratch the surface of the possibilities. There were quiet days, but there were not days where nothing interesting happened. The way that these elements come together is fascinating. The job simulator is working as a radio astronomer. You identify signals in the night sky that are presumably from stellar objects. This tunes the satellites to their position, but these radio signals tend to be faint and require additional tuning of the polarity and frequency to dial in. So you adjust these knobs until you get as close as you can, and then wait. The download speed of the signal depends on upgrades you buy with money, how many of the servers you're preventing from falling into disrepair, how much power is being allocated to other systems, including the lights, and the object itself. So the skill of the job simulator aspects is making sure the servers stay online, the satellites stay calibrated, and juggling components so more power gets allocated to downloading when you need it. Later on, you'll need to process these signals in order to refine their quality. This also takes time, meaning you'll need to add that to the juggling act. It's really not all that complicated, and once you get into the swing of things, you'll easily be hitting your targets and sending in enough signals to get paid properly. Oh, you'll also have to go get server hashes on a daily basis, and you have to fix the servers located at the satellites frequently. Yes, this means you have to leave the base. The safety and comfort and, well, it's not really that secure of a base. The server hashes require engaging with the most dangerous paranormal entity in this game, the all-terrain vehicle that suspiciously looks like the sleep demon. I've died in more ATV accidents in this game than to actual horror monsters. This thing guzzles gas and toolboxes, so it has an upkeep cost, but the server hashes are good money and an excuse to get out in the world, and you will eventually have to leave the house anyways. That power isn't free. Occasionally, you also have to reset the transformers, and if you don't keep up with that, you might rudely find the power is out when you wake up, which is not a fun way to spend the night. Thankfully, you have a couple useful tools. The server consoles let you track your next target server with the compass, and the radar can show you where the entities are. Sometimes, and only when you're at the base. As soon as that starts to get tedious though, you will likely have made enough money to buy yourself a robotic assistant who can at least keep up with maintaining the servers for you, among other things. The paranoia was so strong that I got startled because the screen turned black. Rather than thinking the game had just crashed, which some anomalies are designed to do by the way, I assumed something really bad had happened. Turns out someone accidentally turned off the sun and cast the world in pitch black darkness for a few minutes. I got jump scared by a global solar phenomenon that wasn't even that serious. The unnerving part was when I got back and had an email acknowledging that it wasn't just in my area that this had happened. I hope you can see that while the job simulator aspect is simple, it doesn't lack depth. It has just enough going on to stay engaging while giving you shortcuts to prevent tedium. And of course, it is intimately informed by the other modes of the gameplay. It turns out sitting around at night staring at a monitor with a direct view of the outside world within sight is not the best way to spend your evenings. A lot of the game is balancing the paranoia that something might happen with doing your job. It doesn't help making plans for how you're going to go out in the morning while the radar keeps beeping that something happens to currently be hanging out near that satellite that you need to visit. So, how do you take the edge off? Why? By buying things, of course. The store is full of a bunch of useful tools and also non-essential comfort items that help you pass the time. The first thing you might decide to do is clean the base, but I don't know you might like the trash aesthetic. That's time-consuming enough to be a constant background process, especially whenever something happens that causes the base to shake. This is a source game, so there's full physics interactions. All of the items that you decorate the base with can be knocked around occasionally. Source-like game, it's actually Unreal Engine 4 made to look like Source just to fuck with people a little more. The base went from messy to clean to messy, but in my own personalized way, usually involving lots of bloodstains. Unironically, I grabbed this game purely because I wanted to clean the base. I don't clean my own house with the enthusiasm I showed for cleaning this base up. If that isn't your fancy, how about security cameras? You can set up a custom security camera network to monitor the outside of the base, so you can know when the paranormal entities are outside instead of just assuming. These aren't in preset locations. If you can physically stick a security camera to a spot, you're allowed to. Want to monitor part of the woods that's a hotspot of activity? Go for it. Want to stick a security camera on top of the radio tower? Sure. Want to put one on the wind turbine? Well, that's a bad idea. They move with the wind, and learning that lesson the hard way was how I ended up bugging the turbines out, causing them to spin rapidly upon reloading my game, and then I legit got thrown off by centrifugal force. 10 out of 10 experience. There is also the drone, but using it requires the risk of going outside, or at least into the garage, which is still exposed enough to be dangerous. And it's time consuming to fly out to locations, but gives you a decent amount of remote control as long as you're willing to sit at the computer. You can also buy a personal camera for documenting the many odd things you'll encounter. I mean, nobody's going to believe your testimony, but this grainy and blurry picture, now that's evidence. Yes, you can print the pictures out and tack them to a corkboard. You can do it with pages too. I mean, you can straight up keep a journal if you really want to make this place interesting for the next guy who gets assigned to live here. You can spend your time building, farming, cooking, mining, cryptocurrency, or just decorating the base with custom posters and artwork. The radio will play custom MP3s, and the TV plays custom MP4s. But all of that requires money, which balances against the need for upgrades and actually important tools, like the hook. I needed the hook to deal with my arch nemesis, a devious entity that had been haunting the basement for months. Was it the guy who looked like a sensor bar? Was it the pair of eyes that flew through my window and bit me because I took a picture of him? Was it the guy that was sending me pictures of the inside of my base? Nope. It was a fucking curtain that got stuck in the floor of the basement. I spent literal weeks trying different solutions to unclip this prop through the floor, because sometimes it would get mad and just start knocking, making a constant noise, and I didn't want to turn off collision noises for this one fussy curtain. For whatever reason, they can't be destroyed with blunt force or the hacksaw. You can't get under the basement with the secret debugging triangle. The broom couldn't knock it out, the Broomba couldn't suck it up, the cell gun that actually cost an absurd amount of money couldn't even sell it. This is a recurring problem, so I just have to assume the cursed physics of the curtains are intentional. I finally found an obscure solution online. Use a hook to attach the curtain to a rock, and then carry the rock up to the garage. Use a second hook to attach the rock to the ATV, and use its towing power to force the object to clip out of the floor. The demon wasn't happy, however, and immediately cursed one of the upstairs curtains to clip into the desk. I'm not joking, like as soon as I got back from releasing the first curtain, the second one was already stuck. I'll let this footage of my ATV flying away from me be a sign of how much tension these ropes were under and how absolutely stuck this second curtain was in my desk. It's a shame no entities got in my way. I would have loved to rubber band them with this rock. I couldn't drive the ATV far enough away because the tension would finally pull it into a wheelie and then off of the ground. I tried carrying the rock to the edge of the map and the curtain was still stuck in the desk, so I don't really know if I can get this one out without cheating. I have to assume it's intentional given how many other people had issues with the curtains and how generally despised they are, but that's the fun of the game. Even its issues start to blend in with the intentional designs. This wasn't initially a bug, it was a demon in my basement that made banging noises if it felt lonely. Most of the game is still fairly functional for being in pre-alpha. I really only had 2 major bugs, and both of them were hilarious. So yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video to recommend this game. Thanks to the patrons for funding these types of projects. This was a quick in and out one. I actually didn't intend to even record for this game, but I accidentally left OBS on after recording another game, and I ended up capturing the first crazy day, so I figured a short video wouldn't be too hard or take too much time. I may end up streaming this game in the future, but no promises.